Hi there, I'm Drew Badger, the world's first and #1 English fluency guide, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to another fantastic video here on YouTube. In this video, what I'd like to do is clear up. This is a great phrasal verb to make something easy to understand, so to clear up some issues about grammar and talk about really language learning in general and why language learning has the perception that it does. So when people think about language learning, they think about, it's difficult. Oh, that language is difficult. This language is tricky. This language is whatever. Like, I don't believe any of that shit now. Now, I used to think that, like, wow, like somebody learned Chinese, that must be amazing. But there's like 1 billion people that speak Chinese. It can't be that hard. Now, obviously, that's really about the way you learn, but if you learn more like native speakers and you actually develop the fast skills that you need for speaking as opposed to the slow skills that you get in a typical language learning lesson. These are the slow skills like listening, reading, and writing. And again, these slow skills are things that you can take time to do. So when you're practicing some grammar or something like that, most of the education that people are getting for whatever language they're learning, whether it's Chinese or English or Japanese, they're getting a whole bunch of rules and explanations instead of connecting directly with the language and learning it the same way a native speaker would. Now, there's no reason why you can't learn anything in a different language but through that language itself, as opposed to learning it through your native language. So there are lots of problems and reasons why people struggle, especially with grammar, but they all have to do with how you learn. So all you have to do is change the way you learn so you develop the fast skills of speaking, and part of this is being able to use grammar automatically because of how you learn grammar. And if you learn grammar directly, the way I'm going to teach you in this video, it makes it much easier to understand. So all of the ideas about like, wow, that language is difficult or grammar is difficult or all of this, it's just because of how you learn. So these develop ideas in your mind about, wow, this really is difficult, but it's just because your teacher did a bad job of helping you actually speak and use these things automatically. Because frankly, it's just easier to just tell you a rule and say, hey, remember this rule, remember these 10 words for your test. But being able to use them automatically when you speak is not something you're typically learning in school. But that's why I'm here to help you solve that problem and now try to get you back on the right path, how you can actually speak fluently. Now, for grammar mistakes, people are again having the problems that they have, like being able to or not being able to use things automatically because they have to translate or think about grammar rules because number one, they're learning it through their native language. So that's the biggest problem people have, where instead of watching a video like this, where it's all in English, you might be someone in Portugal or learning through Portuguese, or somebody else learning through Spanish or Chinese or whatever. But the more you're using your native language in order to learn my language, the more you will struggle because you have to use that translation method in reverse when you actually want to speak. So if you're getting the language through another step, the more steps you put between yourself and the language, the slower you're going to be when you speak. So if you want to be a fast speaker, you have to learn everything in English. That's the first and most important thing. It doesn't matter if we're talking about grammar or vocabulary or anything else. If you learn it all in English, it's going to make it much easier for you to communicate and use these things automatically when you have to speak. Now, the second part of this, the more important part really, after you understand that, okay, we have to do it all in English, is to learn it visually. You have to actually see these things when they're happening, and this is why we teach everything visually in the fluency course and Master English Conversation, because we want to show you how the grammar works, as opposed to just telling you what a grammar rule is. Maybe there are some explanations, it's all in English, but like in general, you want to see what's happening. If I say I ran, then I want to see a picture of a person running. That way I don't need to translate anything from my native language into my English language when I'm trying to learn it. So if it's all in English and you see it happening, this is how you understand grammar much more easily. So right now, I'm not giving a bunch of videos about how to do that, which you can see again in the Fluency course or Master English Conversation, or right here on our YouTube channel. So I highly recommend you check out our visual guide to phrasal verbs, and you can see that again, samples of that are right here on our YouTube channel. But you can see how we teach grammar visually, and in that case, we're talking about a specific kind of vocabulary word, which is phrasal verbs, but these are the kinds of things where we're showing you how something works and the origin of different words. And when you learn things like this, it helps you understand the grammar much more easily. As an example, we talk a lot about phrasal verbs on this channel, and that's because phrasal verbs are something that, number one, are very common, and number two, they're actually very easy to learn if you just focus on learning them the same way native speakers do, which is visually. So visual learning is exactly what all the children are doing. Like I'm teaching my daughter, who's almost 2 years old now. Wow, she's like, time flies. You know, my daughter is like almost, she's a year and I think 10 months at the time of this video, but almost getting to 2 years old. So time really does fly. Go back and watch some videos. I have to get another video of her now, but her Japanese and English are coming along very well. So we'll have to get her reading is coming along very well too. She knows, I think, most of the alphabet and is learning a lot of Japanese as well. Anyway, enough about Aria, but just showing you the way she's improving that is not because I'm using one language to teach another language. I don't teach her Arabic first and then try to teach her English after that. I'm teaching her all in English. And it's not because kids are like somehow special or whatever. It's just we're teaching simple things in a visual way that's easy to understand. So anytime you're just learning rules and you're saying this thing does that, and then remember it for this situation, but not that situation, it can be really difficult. But if you see lots of examples and see how things are actually happening, you're learning in the same way native speakers are learning. So these first 2 points are really important. Number one, learning everything all in English, and number two, seeing it visually. Now, the third part of this is if you want to understand tenses better, is to take the things that you're learning visually, and just like native English speakers, you're practicing using them in different situations. So you don't try to think about things as a rule, like for the future tense, we do this. You understand from the context. And this is a tricky thing to understand about language learning, because many people, like especially adults who are learning the language, it's not like a child where you just relax and accept the things that are coming. So a child understands, okay, they're talking about the future, that's the context, and then these are the words they're using for that. So Aria is learning right now, like I am eating right now, but I ate yesterday. So I will eat tomorrow. So she's learning these different things over time, and she's understanding, like, even like eat and ate, they are two different words to Aria, but they understand, like, okay, like the conjugation idea, that'll come along later, but that's the reverse of what people are trying to do in school. So they're teaching you, okay, here's the word ate. Now, this is the past tense of the word eat, and so we're going to practice this. Eat, ate, ate. Eat, ate, ate. And we're going to practice all of these different things. We're going to drill these, and so you can use them to remember them for a test, but then you can't actually use them because in a conversation you say, oh, I have to practice, okay, eat, ate, ate, and I have to think about that, and then I get to speak. So if you don't want to do that, again, you have to connect everything in English and learn it visually. Now, for tenses, what I was just explaining before, it becomes something that's much easier to understand with stories that are told from different perspectives. So different things, like if we're talking about a casual situation versus a more professional situation. So you might use slightly different language for this version of the story, for that version of the story, or you might hear one that's like a slower version or a faster version, or one that's said by a person from the United States or someone from Canada, and the accent is slightly different. This is the exact same thing that we do in Master English Conversation in the Fluency course, because this is how native English speakers are learning. There's really no secret to this. It's so easy if you just stop learning the way a typical student would learn and start learning the same way native speakers do, because that's how you develop not only the reading, writing, and listening skills, but also the fast skills that you need to speak. So everything that lets you use your vocabulary automatically, correct grammar automatically, all these things, they all come from learning the fast skills, and that's why you have to stop learning the traditional way and start learning more like a native English speaker. And if you can do that, again, it's learning everything in English, you're seeing it visually, and then you're also getting these the different tenses and learning how things, you're taking maybe that same kind of content, but learning it in different ways or seeing it in different ways. So you get the past version of the story, the present version of the story, but you're not focusing on the rules. You're understanding the context of the situation. So, okay, so yesterday, he ate something. Okay, like ate. So he's doing the same action. He's putting some food in his mouth, but in the past we say ate. Okay, I understand that now. Without someone having to tell me or to drill it using some rote learning or some grammar tables or anything else like that. So these are the 3 steps that you can use to learn, and you can learn more about this again at EnglishAnyone.com with the Fluency course or Master English Conversation. And really, Master English Conversation is the Fluency course. It's a great set of lessons that a lot of our students enjoyed, so the most popular ones that people selected, and that's why we created that course for people, because they wanted to have a bunch of these great lesson sets to all learn with. And again, it just goes through that same step-by-step process, the exact same way native speakers learn, and that's why people who go through the program become fluent fluent speakers. It's all very simple. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, remember these ideas. Learn like native speakers if you want to speak like natives. And this means learning all in English. You're seeing it visually. You're learning things without trying to study the rules of it. And then you're listening to different stories or different versions of things. Like, again, another great example is just listening for improving your accent and pronunciation. You're getting that from listening to different versions of the same song or the same poem or whatever, but it's just told by different people. So you're getting that accent training, but it's the exact same thing with grammar. So you're listening to something that happened in the past, something that will happen in the future, or whatever, something like that. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, do click that like button, become a subscriber to the YouTube channel, and do share this video with other people who also struggle with grammar. So anybody you know that also says, I want to use grammar automatically and correctly when I speak, show them this video and say, hey, Drew can help you do the same thing. And if you'd like to learn more specifically about grammar and what steps you can take to improve that, you can learn more about that at EnglishAnyone.com by taking our free English fluency quiz. Click on the link in this video or on the link in the description below this video to take that. And again, all the things that I'm doing right now, all the speaking, it's just because I learned how to do things the native way. And I can help you do the exact same thing at EnglishAnyone.com. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.